Wow, I'm shocked. It's the first time I'm at an event that actually in the time frame I have to do something about kidding. I know. There's a let's see. That's what always happens. You say we're on time. Okay, so they're really not gonna stop, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more presentation left before the Jeopardy game, of course. But since it seems to be a thing that the first and the third part of our meeting has to end with a double action, so this time again we can welcome two presenters, and they're gonna tell us about why not to trust SMS again. Damn it, how am I gonna communicate with my mom now? That's a bit disappointing, but we're gonna hear all about security problems of text messaging from Tormi Tuuling and Silver Saks.
So, hello, can you hear us?
Yep, hello from us. So I guess we have to introduce us a bit. So we are SecOps engineers from a small financial company called Wise. Well, not so small anymore.
Raise hands who know what Wise does or Wise is.
Yeah, okay. So
Okay.
mostly financial transfers. I think we have something like 6 million customers now. I think it was like 7,000 people on Slack. So we've grown quite big. And of course, all sorts of hackers really like places with lots of money. So we have some problems. And we are here to tell you about one of these problems today. So this whole idea of coming here to present this started with the tweet by the world's most famous shitposter, Elon Musk. He posted that, hey, Twitter is getting scammed by phone companies for 60 million a year with fake 2FA SMS messages. And this got some news coverage. And everyone was like, okay, so Elon has gone crazy. He's saying crazy Elon things again, you know. But me and Tormi, we looked at each other and thought about it a bit. Yep, did some calculations. Yeah, this seems about right. Like, we're seeing the same thing. This seems like a very reasonable number. So let's talk about how this happened. I will hand this over to Tormi.
So I'm gonna firstly introduce you to a little story, our experiences, what we have seen. Then we'll go into how this thing actually works. And then perhaps solutions or things you can do to avoid damage as much as possible. So let's start our story with a little fintech playing whack-a-mole with bad guys. It's very cold February 2019, and our APIs are getting hot, like really hot. So what's up there? Okay, we start looking into it, and it looks like we have some weird accounts popping up using Lorem Ipsum, disposable email domains, and what's the most weird thing, they're swapping phone numbers. They have over 900 phone numbers within 20 days. That's super weird. Why would someone do that? Let's look into it. So we understand it's bot accounts. Okay. And they're using voice calls and a little bit SMS, but they're using voice calls, which is like backup of SMS. That's definitely something is super weird. So this is our very first case. We noticed this pumping happening. And they're using mostly Telecom Jersey Airtel, which is a small island between UK and France, where there isn't a lot of people. And they're using, for example, VPNs like IPVanish. Then we get to July 2019, and a big wave washes over us. We get 25,000 users that are exactly the same bot accounts. They're using same MO, and this time more telcos are involved, different telcos, always kind of small ones, not big ones, and all sorts of proxy networks, VPNs. So we got hit hard. We thought we need to do something about it. So easy. Let's add IP-based rate limits and CAPTCHA, and that will solve everything. I'm sure we all thought that. So a bit time goes on, and now we notice they're not creating accounts. They're doing logins. So they're like doing accounts and then just pumping logins on them with voice methods. So, but we just added protections, like what gives? Okay, so CAPTCHA was clearly not the problem at all. IP-based rate limits, not the problem at all. 2020, March, the same guys are back. Hello. This time they created, again, tens of thousands of users. Same MO all over the place. Okay, we started thinking hard. We have enough duct tape to solve this problem, most likely. So let's add more rate limits. Let's start gathering actually like number data and start doing number-based blocks, not only IP-based blocks. Let's block voice to countries we don't serve. Like no need to serve voice calls to small Caribbean island. And let's build out metrics to actually like start to understand what's happening. And that should solve our problems. And of course, block the disposable domain, email domains. Easy. What can happen? Then stuff happens. Here, attempts here and there, and we get to year 2021. Now we get to fake registrations. They're not doing accounts anymore. They're attempting to create accounts, but they fail in the last step. Why this is happening? It's because in 2021, our APIs changed, and we forced SMS in our registration flow. So they don't need to finish accounts anymore to use SMS. They can just do it right away. April 2021. Hello, boys, you're back. Now they're pumping very different countries all over the place. Central Asia, Africa, South America, everything. They're using more VPNs. They're like distributing their traffic way more. They're trying to use, because we added phone number rate limits, they're staying exactly under the rate limit and adding more numbers to their number pool. Okay, weird. Let's tidy up a bit. Maybe this thing will go over. July, something changed. They're not using voice calls anymore. They're using purely SMS now. Again, thousands of users created and registrations done, everything. Like all the previous things they've done, they're still doing. They're just adding layers on top of it. This time we were introduced to a group that operates in Vietnam. They actually use their OTP codes. So, for example, when they do registration, they use the SMS code you sent them. Then it kind of got BAU. We thought they went away. So we started looking more into metrics. So let's look a bit different metrics on different device types. So this is like Android metrics. And we can see some interesting stuff happening here. Firstly, the very low line is essentially blocks that are happening. So we blocking numbers or like our provider blocking numbers, something like that. Central line is unused OTP codes. So code was left hanging and never used. And above line is used OTP codes. Clearly, we can see something weird is happening here, which correlates to a lot of blocks happening. A lot of blocks happening here, but not much unused OTP codes happening here. Weird. Let's look into IIS traffic. We have some weird stuff happening here, mostly in here, but in general, not much weird stuff. When we get to web traffic, it's all over the place. So we have a lot of unused OTP codes. We have very spiky traffic. And of course, our blocks are all over the place. And we had some very big wave here, apparently. So let's look some examples. 2022, again, a bit over 1,000 users. It's again the Vietnam group. Seems to be more or less the same guys. We're pretty sure of it. We thought, easy fix, let's just block all the ranges and we're done. June, they're back with 17,000 users. Okay, clearly what we did is not effective. Let's tidy more things up. Let me just show you some style example of how they try to bypass WAF rules. So they use like Firefox versions from the future. So clearly things are getting hard. So we thought a bit, added more metadata to our logs, added more different rate limits to different time periods. So let's not look only like 5-minute periods. Let's look 30-minute, 1 hour, 24-hour, 3-month, 6-month periods of these numbers reappearing. And start like actually hunting stuff and doing exponential rate limits. Surely that will solve all our problems. July 2022. Hello, Android boys. So we are introduced to a new group attacking us. This time, all of our previous problems are represented essentially in here. Our new problems started in here. Style example. These guys really like to use Android phones, and they really like, for some reason, Central Asian numbers. So here we have a graph of used OTP codes in Uzbekistan and unused OTP codes in Uzbekistan. Okay, we have a lot of bots. So these guys tend to use our Wise app and like Nokia phones and OnePlus phones and Motorola phones. And as far as we can see on our intelligence, because we use like a thing called Google Device Attestation, which Google also uses to like recognize is it actual device or not. We can see it looks like they're not emulators, they're actual devices. So these attackers are using some kind of rig like this. Okay. Shit is getting very hard now. We're kind of getting out of ideas. So we're adding now device-based rate limits because we added device concept. So we can see same device using like a lot of different numbers and trying to create a lot of different accounts. So it's very sus. Adding more metadata-based rate limits. So for example, we can rate limit like only headless Chromes or whatever, stuff like that. Dedicate significant amount of time to threat hunting. And like general look for stuff. We can do this, we can survive this. They will give up, we're sure of it. 2023. So, this is our previous problems. This is our new problems. They pumped their traffic up over like 10 or 15-fold. Okay, so what's up here? It's getting really extremely hard to stop these guys. Essentially, we're now down to like, can we drop SMS? It's unusable in that sense. The bigger you get, the more pumping you get. So we at this point of time, roughly around this point of time, Elon tweeted, and we were with Silver like, we feel you. Like, really, we feel you. So in 2023, our SMS costs got higher than our infra costs, which is stupid. So we started doing a lot of digging with Silver, and we found these guys have been around since the beginning of time. They're very well funded. Since May, they have used at least 650,000 numbers against us. And they're probably targeting you too. So Silver, please explain how it works.
Yeah. So of course we see all these messages coming to, like, all these messages getting sent out by us, and we're like trying to figure out, okay, well, why are they doing this? Like, how does this actually work? How are they getting money out of this? Like, why are they sending SMS to like these particular numbers and so on? So of course, like, why is this a publicly traded company? It's possible that someone is just messing with us to make our share price drop and, you know, make money out of that somehow. But kind of seems very unlikely, right? So there must be some other way they're getting paid out of this. So we started looking around, and we basically discovered a world we were basically unaware of. And unless you're working at a telco, you are probably also unaware of this world. So it's the world of international revenue sharing fraud. To give you some sense of scale, how big of a problem this is, I found some numbers for 2022 about various types of scams and attacks. So you have like a bit like $500 million that gets paid in ransomware payments, data breaches somewhere around the same. I had the sources for them; they seemed reliable, so numbers. GDPR fines were about $1 billion. Then you get to the big scams and frauds like business email compromise and investment scams, which were like $2.5 billion. And then you get to the international revenue sharing fraud, which is $7 billion. So this is a massive problem for everyone. In comparison, here's the NotPetya attack, which essentially took down several large companies across the world and has this far been the most destructive attack. And this was estimated around $10 billion. But these guys are doing the same every year. So how does this work? First thing, they need premium rate numbers. So it used to be that, this also works with regular premium rate numbers, like the 900 numbers in Estonia, and I think 979 was the international prefix for premium rate numbers. But no, in this case, they're not using standard premium rate numbers because, of course, the prefixes for them, they're easy to block, right? They're using what are called international premium rate numbers. So this is basically just a regular phone number. It gets assigned to a user, and every time someone calls or sends a message to this phone number, they get paid for it. And they're not actually premium. So us, as Wise, we're still paying the list price to our SMS operator for sending out an SMS. We are not paying any more than we would otherwise sending SMS to that country. So how much does sending SMS cost anyway? Like, how are they making so much money out of this? Well, turns out like sending SMS to like within a country is obviously very cheap. Sending SMS internationally can get very expensive, but it depends on the country. Like, for example, United States, Canada, I believe also India, they're all very cheap. But some countries are up to 71 cents for each message. So this is the highest from Twilio price list right now. In this case, this is a bit special circumstances because this is Russia, but still you have a lot of countries that hover around 20 to 30 cents per message, which is quite a lot of money, especially if you can, SMS has the nice feature compared to voice calls that you don't need to keep the line open. You don't need to keep a call running. You can just send SMS as fast as the API allows you to. So why is it so expensive? We get to a thing in telco world they call termination rates. So this is basically the amount of money a mobile network operator can ask for receiving a call or a message. It's usually around the same for all operators in one country because, obviously, if one operator is much cheaper than the others, then everyone would just send all of their traffic there. But within a country, they can basically set it to whatever. There's some regulation, for example, in European Union, it's regulated what the maximum termination rate can be. Some other countries have their own regulation, but small Caribbean islands, ain't nobody gonna regulate those. And it's a very significant source of operator revenue, especially nowadays where SMS 2FA traffic is something like 80% of all SMS traffic. So SMS traffic has probably gone up a lot in recent years. So yeah, high-risk countries basically have high termination rates. That's the correlation we found. Most of the SMS is getting sent to some countries with very high termination rates. And well, this is not, since I was actually talking to some telco guys backstage, this is not entirely correct, because as I found out, like maintaining SMS infrastructure right now is a whole separate infrastructure to the rest of your telco infrastructure. So this might not be completely correct, but still, they're charging way more than actually receiving an SMS would cost for them. And this also means that this is sort of a soft cap on premium number payouts, because like this is the maximum a fraudster could possibly get paid from a premium number. They usually don't get all of that. They get something like 60 to 80%. So how do you get those premium numbers? Like, where do they come from? This is a screenshot from a Facebook group. Lots of like various I don't know how legitimate operators they are, but lots of them offering these numbers. And as far as we can tell from our research, this is completely legal. So there is nothing illegal going on here. Like the official use case is that you can use these international premium rate numbers for micropayments for services. Like let's say you're in some less developed country, your users don't have a way to do like card payments or bank transfers or so on. They can just use their phone, call this number, and you get paid for it. So yeah, not all of the premium rate number providers are fraudsters, but it's probably a similar percentage as the cryptocurrency world. So how does it work? So here's an example what a happy SMS would look like. So this is how legitimately stuff should work. So we send out, well, we tell our SMS API operator that, hey, we want to send out an SMS. They will basically check the giant list on their side, which is their price list. Okay, this SMS must go to this country here. Let's check from the price list, which is the cheapest like transit operator we can send this to. And basically, once they send it off to this transit operator, they have no idea what path the SMS will take afterwards. It probably goes through several other operators. They all take some cut of the money you pay your operator. And finally, the final operator then gets the termination fee, and your SMS gets to your happy customer. How the premium rate numbers work is that essentially there is some operator somewhere in the path that is hijacking certain number ranges. So, for example, I found some. So basically, these number ranges can be hijacked from absolutely anywhere. And this is because this whole routing thing here has essentially no security. Like you can tell that, yep, I have these phone numbers. Just send stuff to me. I'll make sure it gets to the right destination. No problem. So with the premium rate numbers, they generally don't try to hijack ranges which are actually in use. They only hijack ranges which are like not in use, invalid numbers, stuff like that. So you have 170 countries in the world, and they all have their own rules on phone number allocation. So there's a whole bunch of unused numbers there, but they generally want to have numbers that are assigned to some actual telco operator. But yeah, I think for our operator, there is basically no way to check if this is an invalid number when they're trying to send it out. They just check the number prefix. Okay, this must go to this country. Let's send it off to some transit operator. And yeah, how you can tell that this kind of hijacking is happening. So here, yeah, the fraudster is getting like quite a significant chunk of the money you're paying your operator. The transit operator, of course, takes a cut as well. Then the IPRN operator takes a cut, and then the fraudster gets some money. So how you can tell this sort of hijack is happening? Let's say you're looking at IPRN number offerings on Google, and you notice that they offer test ranges. So what is the test range for? Essentially, the test range is for, like, you have some way of sending SMS or voice calls. You need to find out if your particular path will hit the hijacking operator. So the test number is there, so you can test that the hijack is working, and you get paid. Usually in this case, the numbers are also very close to each other. So they hijack like a larger prefix and then use the numbers from that. And if you look at the advertisements in the ads here, you can see like access from UK, USA, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Philippines, so on. So this basically means that these are the routes they have tested where they know their hijack is working.
Note, even in Estonia.
Yeah,
We are not untouched.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, when this was still mostly a telco problem and mostly a voice problem, 10 or so years ago, Latvia was one of the most used countries for these sort of numbers. So not that far from us. And another way the same thing can happen is if the terminating operator themselves are bad. So any operator in the world basically wants to receive as many messages as possible because it's obviously money for them. Like they get all the termination fee and it the marginal cost of receiving a message isn't really anything. It doesn't matter how many messages you're getting unless it's overwhelming your systems, but I'm not sure how possible it is with SMS. But yeah, in this case, you will see something. You will basically see abnormal traffic, but it's all going to the same mobile network operator in some country. And also what we have noticed is that they are using numbers that are very close to legitimately used numbers. Like on one number is our customer, and one number off from that is already the premium rate number.
Example of these guys are the very first guys we saw.
Yeah.
Jersey Airtel guys. As far as we can see, it's all fraud.
And in this case, if you're looking at the premium rate number provider online, they advertise global access. So this basically means that we have control of the terminating MNO, so we can offer access from everywhere because basically stuff needs to get there. So to put it all together, here's a diagram, flowchart, whatever you want to call it. What do the fraudsters need to successfully do this fraud? Well, they need a method to call or send messages. So we've been talking about whys and how they're abusing our registration flow to send SMS, but it's not only these sort of things that they're abusing. So it used to be like hacked PBXs. You hack a PBX, you start making calls, you get paid. In our case, it's the API abuse, but it can also be stolen or cloned SIM cards. It can be stolen phones. It can be malware on your Android phones that's making these calls. Then you have the free SMS sites where basically you want to create an anonymous account. You have, okay, receive SMS for free here. You go there, you get the SMS, but these guys, well, they get paid for it. And there's also a thing called callback fraud, which is basically when they're just calling random numbers, leaving unanswered calls and hoping they get called back. And they also need either premium rate numbers, so the international premium rate numbers, or they need some kind of collusion with the mobile network operators or transit operators. So yeah, numbers you get either from the operators or by hijacking, and the hijacking is enabled by the insecure routing protocols that are used in the telco world. And another critical thing you need for this is you need the SMS to cost relatively, you need the cost of the SMS to be relatively high. Because if they're doing this for 1 cent per SMS, maybe it's not that profitable. Yeah, so in conclusion, anyone can be a victim of this fraud. So it's not just Wise, it's not just Twitter, it's not other multi-billion-dollar companies that are fraud victim of this. Anyone can be. Your phone gets stolen, they start making calls, there you go. You get a phone bill. If you're lucky, your phone company will cover some of it, and then the phone company is getting frauded. But yeah, the fraudsters are also almost never caught. So we tried looking into it. Can we find any case where these guys have gone to jail? And we found one case where they got 3 months probation and a fine, I think. So yeah, international call and SMS routing is opaque and insecure. As someone trying to send a message somewhere, there's no way to make sure it actually makes it to the correct destination. There's no way to, verify what path it took. There is also, in the case of SMS, I think it's also plain text all the way, probably. SMS is 160 characters. Like, can you imagine sending 160 characters over TCP somewhere and getting charged for it? It makes no sense, right? So what can you do? Avoid SMS-based multi-factor authentication, if you can. It's not possible in all cases, because phones are things everyone has. It's by far the easiest way to do it. But, well, if you add this to your product, you're opening yourself up to this kind of fraud, unless you're very, very good at preventing it. And, well, those guys are pretty good, as we have shown. Also, like all the hijacking business there, that's probably also not the great thing you want out of your authentication solution. You can try to block fraudulent operators and number ranges, but for this, it's actual work. There are, of course, companies offering services that, hey, we have number intelligence, we will block them for you. And as far as we can tell, they work, but they're also quite expensive.
There's always a question of how much they catch.
Yeah.
Because we see these guys are very well-funded and they are always finding ways around.
Yeah. AI can work. So a lot of the research we found for this was actually from a CCC presentation a few years ago, where the paper they were presenting was about using machine learning to detect this type of fraud. And I think they got pretty good results, something like over 90% true positive rate, so good work. Rate limit your messages if you are sending out SMS from your product. Monitor for anomalies in your telephony traffic. Monitor the IPRN test number ranges, because if you see a test number, there's probably a number close by that you will be soon getting pumped on.
And we have seen this being a good indicator of incoming wave. So if you see a test number popping up in your services, you are most likely tested to be targeted.
But there's no open source intelligence list for these numbers, which I feel there absolutely should be. It shouldn't be that hard to set up some web scrapers and just collect it from all the different sites. And yeah, basically demand better from your phone operators. That's it from us. Thank you.
Well, and then they say that old school doesn't work. Apparently it does. So, questions? Somebody wants to confess something? No? Yes, please. There's a question over there, lady in a pink shirt, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Hello, I'm from Elisa.
Here we go. Talk about confessions.
We were waiting for you.
I don't know where to start, but in some ways I didn't understand this topic. And I understand that, this is like the amount of SMSs you're sending, that this is like that the companies should monitor how many SMSs they send, not to get the big bill from the operator. But and those IRSF, and there are a lot of different kind of telco frauds that can be done in the world. And I see when I hear your presentation that actually your website is used for fraud. And what kind of activities have you done from your side? From the SecOps, I understand what you have done, but what are you done from the website, or I don't know why those accounts were created, or what was the bigger purpose? Because this method that you showed, that how telcos exchange money between themselves, that how this actually gets to the fraudsters. And why is IRSF numbers allowed in your website or the portal you are using?
Because there is no way to tell these numbers apart from actual legitimate phone numbers. So that is the main problem with these type of numbers.
Yeah, if it's a hijacked range, we have no way of telling if it's hijacked.
Yeah, in the worst case, it can actually be using the same number range that our customers are using, which means that we also have an unhappy customer because they are not receiving their messages. So what we have done, I think we mostly showed on the slides. We have also done like trials with various companies that promise to prevent this type of fraud, but still we see that they are not that effective.
And the other message to everybody is, in your product design, think about this fraud, add as many layers to make it uncomfortable for them.
Yes. We can discuss later as well.
Okay.
But it's interesting. I would like to see know more about this kind of thing, how it works, like more technical way. Because
one thing to note is that we are not telco guys. Like we don't have the technical details how this works. So this is most of the stuff how this works was just literally from a few papers that we found online where researchers have researched this topic.
yes, we can discuss it later. But to clarify one fact that you told that those fraudsters never get caught. This is not true. They actually get caught, but it's not publicly maybe discussed.
Well, that's good to know.
Yep, that's good to know indeed.
Yeah, that's all from my side.
Hello.
She didn't say they go to jail.
There's a hand.
We just happened to discuss this here. First of all, thank you. I had a very similar thing happen with one of my customers, and we couldn't figure out why someone would spam their SMS API to get more text messages. So this was very insightful. In this case, it was as easy as just blocking all other countries because they don't really need to send SMS anywhere aside from, well, Finland is in this case. But we were thinking, wouldn't it be possible to just change the flow of how you sign up for an account such that you don't get a text message until you've gotten your human verification done? Or would that be a problem in some other?
I can take this. So we have seen and tried a lot of things, and we can see even if you had a human layer there, at certain scale it's not feasible. If you're servicing millions of customers, like if you get daily tens of thousands of customers, you can't human it. So and they're using all sorts of methods you can have. Even in your backup method of backup method, they will find it.
And to add to this, so the guys that are doing this, they are very resourceful. If we do add the human verification step before that, I have absolutely no doubt they will find some way to bypass that as well, because our verification initially, at least, is also automatic, or well, almost automatic. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for the talk. Kaur here. One comment and one question. The comment is that one extra mitigation that you can have is limit the money that you can pay for the messaging service provider. We got hit by an attack like this in one company where I worked, and we were saved by the fact that the credit card that was tied to our Twilio account had relatively low limit. It was drained, but then the attack was stopped because no more messages from the company. Of course, it stopped the service as well, but at least financially, it is a working mitigation. But the question that I would like to ask, and not only from you, but for everybody in the audience, this is a very clear cyber fraud attack with very clear financial impact to the company. Can this be insured? Because cyber insurance exists. Several companies here are definitely insured on the cyber crime as well. Can you cover this simply by insurance, the cost of fraud?
Yes. So actually, we just had a call with one of the companies who promises to prevent this type of fraud 2 days ago, and they are actually offering 1 million insurance that if their systems do not prevent this, they will pay us 1 million, up to 1 million back in what we spent. So yes, you can get insurance for this.
The mitigations highly depend on your service. So we are a financial institution. We have requirements. We need to serve our customers. So for us, adding cap to credit card is not going to work.
Yeah, and also you can set like a cap on how much an SMS can cost. But since they are not special rate SMSs, they are regular international SMSs. This means you will be cutting off countries above the threshold from your service completely, which, well, it works if you're an Estonian company, you only need to send SMS to Estonia, or like you just need to send to US, but if you need to serve everyone globally, you can't really just do that.
How do you tell apart test messages before? We said we can't tell them apart, but still you're mentioning their test numbers, so are you getting them after the fact or somehow?
The test numbers are published on the websites.
Yeah, they are so nice that they give you like free samples. And if you look around in those provider websites a bit, they have some vulnerabilities. And you can get actually all of their ranges.
But of course, we will never abuse these vulnerabilities.
We never abuse them, yes. If you look, you can see them.
Hi. If I understood correctly, like the whole issue arises from international routing. So as you mentioned, sending an SMS over TCP and charging for it is kind of mental. So why not try to make it sort of like local traffic? So instead of international routing, you directly send SMS over TCP to local telcos, and maybe that solves the case. Again, I don't fully follow with the technical details, but yeah.
That is a very good question, and we have absolutely no idea why this is not done.
So there's another possibility to add to this. So.
The question, do you actually see that Twilio is also part of the scam?
Cannot answer you because reasons. As far as we can see, no. So as far as we can see, no big operator is knowingly participating in it. They are being abused like the victims are being abused.
But it's not hurting them too much, bro.
Well, they earn from it.
Yeah.
So they get their termination fee, and that's what they care about.
It's like Marko said, they're in the business of delivering packets.
Exactly.
Unless they find better service.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. Kind of representing police, small part of Estonia.
Bye-bye.
I was just trying to say that this is a problem for us too, to investigate. And please raise your hand who has a 4G or 5G internet router. How many of you know if there is only data allowed, not SMSs? The card, the SIM card inside the router. Are you sure? Okay. And other ones, you don't know. How secure is a router? Yeah. We've had cases where the routers have been hacked and approximately 2,000 euros loss because the routers were able to send SMSs, exactly as they said, numbers just in a row, ending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And even though there was a limit for the card, maybe Tarko can say, when does the limit apply? If you send SMSs in a very short time, can it be applied? Yeah. And come again? Yeah. Okay. Well,
So we have seen.
please check the security. And we have also had cases where cars from south come and they have a big boxes where they can add like 50 or 100 SIM cards, and they just start to send SMSs from Estonian operators. And we've also had a case, not very, quite a recent case where an IPX server was also hacked. So.
Yeah, simboxing is a thing, and we have seen regular people fall a victim of like their phone getting stolen and them getting like €700 bills.
Yeah. So it's here also. So please don't stay away from, because I said I'm from police. So thank you.
It looks like I have to come back next year with like a telco fraud talk, because this is only the tip of the iceberg, to be honest. We see it everywhere. So every place in telco world as well. If you can send an SMS, if you can create a call, this will get attacked. Our own IMS, our own web services, everything are hammered exactly the same way. So this is happening. The router example you made, exactly the same way. Most of the data packages we are selling, these have voice and these have SMS. Yes, this has been an issue in Estonia, other places as well. So, and it comes back to the same thing. The terminator gets the money. That's the whole business model. So if you can send an SMS or if you can get a call, you will get these fraudsters at some point.
It can be your security camera.
It can be your security camera, it can be your car, or whatever. I mean, everything works.
There's a question in front.
Just as it is story time.
Just a short comment on starting from the Jersey. We happened to be sailing past the Jersey this summer, and our Wi-Fi router made a bill of €2,000, and it did have a limit of €800. So there was a question how long fast it kind of like catches. Way not fast for a sailboat, at least. So thanks.
It's nice to see it's getting a buzz. Our whole presentation point was to see, has the community seen this? Let's talk more about it and maybe do some action all together, like share intel. Thank you.
Thank you. Seems to me that in Humalagoda we are about to film the second part of the spy thriller O2, Telco 2 or something, I don't know. We can come up with a title later on, which then again, just since everybody are telling a story as somebody with a law background, it's interesting to see that shockingly old school can still take over digital if digital forgets that old school tries. But then again, driving SIM boxes to Estonia, now that's a hobby. But why not, you know? I mean, I feel for the police. It's like another van coming. Should we stop it? It might be not what we think. So before we get to jeopardizing ourselves with questions, I was asked to once again ask back lovely organizers from the morning and tell you thank you for coming. So